Hi guys, welcome to my garden here in zone 5B. It is a very small garden patio. Everything's grown in containers, and this is actually my second garden I've ever grown before. My first one was last year in 2020. Last year I also grew in containers, but I didn't know much about gardening. I just wanted to jump in, grow what I could, and see what happened. And I did get some stuff. Things grew well and it was really pretty, but all my containers were a little too small, so all my plants became kind of stunted. Maybe produced 1 or 2 peppers or a few tomatoes, and although I loved it, this year I really wanted to ramp up my game, learn more that I could, learn what actually grew in the summer, get bigger containers for everything, really try to get as much to flourish as I could and get as much harvest as I could. So I'm excited to show you today. Goal here is one, for my own sake. I really want to remember this garden. It's particularly special to me. I am a live-in caregiver for my grandma who is 90 years old. This has been her house with my late grandpa for over 20 years. This patio space has been really special to me to grow and share with my grandmother. I still have my grandpa's grill here, and this year, because I had learned more stuff than I did last year, I really just it's just really special to me. Okay, I'm excited to show you that. So one, it's really good for my memory's sake, like something for me to look back on and just like enjoy. And two, because one day I hope to have a much bigger garden. Maybe things aren't going to be growing in containers. I'm always going to want to look back on this garden and see where I started. My very first, second garden, but my first well done garden that I'm extremely proud of. And thirdly, I just want to show people that if you have that itch to grow, you can grow. No matter your space, no matter if you're growing in containers or you're growing in the ground in your backyard, you can do it. So let's jump in. First, let's take a peep at these animals. As you can see, that is Catnip, and she's obsessed with it. She'll just take the scraps. This one will just watch wishingly from afar. So I want to start with the window boxes. My goal was to have all edible flowers this year. Some died with the frost that came late in May, so I had to get creative. This is actually sweet potato vine. I don't think it's edible. It doesn't really grow potatoes, it's just for looks. But I really wanted something that would vine over the edge of this in the back. And man, it's beautiful. Over here, I have marigolds. These are edible. I've heard you can put them in like a fried rice. You could break them up with eggs. I mean, you could eat them like this too, or use it to garnish a plate. I actually haven't tried them yet, eaten them yet, but man, they're beautiful. I almost can't bring myself to break off the heads and eat them. Over here, I also had some edible flowers that died off with the first frost. You can still see some left over there, not looking too cute, but that's okay. I had some seeds of bush green beans, so I put them in here and they're growing pretty well. Even if I don't get some beans off, because right now it is July 31st, I might get some before our first frost here, but they're still beautiful if I don't. No big deal. And then the last window box is a favorite of gardeners everywhere, the Nasturtium. This is an Alaskan mix. Beautiful variegated leaves that are edible. And then they just started producing flowers, which are also edible. And they actually taste a little bit different than the leaves. The leaves are a little bit peppery, kind of spicy. And the flowers can be spicy too. But yeah, so gorgeous. So this plant here is a patio champion cucumber. And so far, this is even though it's been sick for like a month and a half, you can tell it's getting there to the heat of the summer. I've gotten a couple cucumbers off of this. They make really, really huge cucumbers, like the length of a Jimmy John's sandwich, because that's what I've been cutting them up and putting them on the most. But the seeds are really, really small, so you can get a really big cucumber and have only a few seeds and it's not a problem. I love it for that. And even though it's been sickly, it's still producing a whole bunch. And so, gosh, I mean, 7 cucumbers that are huge, I'll take it. That's perfect for lunch, you know. Maybe not a family, but it's perfect for my space and for the things that I eat. Because I thought this one was going to die early on around that frost that I told you about, I got a bush cucumber variety. Let me zoom out for you. This thing is massive. I got a bush cucumber variety because I was afraid I wasn't going to get any cucumbers this year. And this guy has exploded. Look at this. And this would be my second cucumber off of here. It's getting very big. The only problem I have with this one is the seeds are really big. And I'm sure they're already big already with this little cucumber, so it kind of sucks when you're trying to eat it. But if you don't mind seeds, then perfect for you. So many flowers in here. But not a lot of them are actually producing. And that's okay. I know there's a lot of research on that and how to get more male or female flowers it is, but I have a secret one hiding down here. Check that guy out, just hanging out. This plant is just gone everywhere, and I've let it go a little wild. It's attached itself to the swing. It's attached itself to these stuff I have here to keep the cats in, and I love it. Keep going, do your thing. Just bring me some juicy, yummy cucumbers, please. So next I'm gonna take you over here to my pineapple ground cherry. It grows little cherries and husks, and when they're ready, they kind of fall off into your hand. I don't know if I have any that are, oops, well, there you go. And as you can tell, I mean, they fall off everywhere down here. I love finding little surprises in all of my baskets here, my pots of my other stuff. Right here, here's some crotons. These are just decorative, but they catch these things really well. You get little sweet surprises in all of your plants. But back to this plant. It is massive. I don't even want to take it off of the grill right now because it's just so heavy that the stalks down here have been bending and breaking and still holding up and still producing like crazy. Gosh, this plant was so little when I got it. I didn't expect it to be this big. I think if I have a clip of it, I will put it in here. A clip of it when it was a baby. This ground cherry, pineapple ground cherry plant, I feel like has doubled in size since I put it in there. Yeah, man, this is my first year growing it. I know a lot of gardeners love it. So, gosh, I'm happy with the outcome. I've already had a lot. Sure, I'm gonna get a lot more before the season's up when all of these start to ripen. I mean, it's full, it's prolific. If you want something in a small space, well, you know, a small space enough to hold this. But if you want to grow something in a small space that's actually going to produce a lot of stuff for you, especially your first year, do something like this. Pineapple ground cherry. It's so worth it. It grows so fast, and it just makes you feel like you're a really, really good gardener when you're not really doing much. That guy grew out of his husk. That's okay. So when these pineapple ground cherries are ready, the husk will dry up and they will fall off almost into your hands, and that's how you know they're ripe. Try to get this out with one hand here gracefully. Look at that. And they taste a little bit like when they're sweet, almost like a Starburst or a Skittle, and when they're a little bitter or tart, I don't know what else they'd be compared to, but they're delicious when they're tart too. I will try one for you. Yeah, that one was more on the sweeter side, but a little bit of tart too. I believe these are a mix of a tomatillo. It's some type of strain of a tomatillo. So it's a little bit like a tomato inside. It's not so much like a berry, but the flavor, sometimes similar to tomato, but not really. It's more of like a sweet, juicy, like fruit snack. So like a fruit snack of the garden. Okay, so this tower has been shown all over garden YouTube. It's called the Vertical Greenstalk Garden. Gosh, I believe it has like 30 to 40 pockets, I can't remember. And it rotates on 360 degrees, so I can turn it for the sun. I'm loving it so far. This is my first year. I put some flowers, some herbs. I even went like ham and put some peppers in here. Like, this guy's just huge and doing his own thing. Like, I can't even, so big. I put some tomatoes in it even because I wanted to see how they came out and if they grew well, and they did. I put them on the higher top of the tier so they could kind of grow up and not shade out other things. Not sure how well that worked, but let's take a look here. Okay, so here I have some, I think they're called chocolate sprinkles tomatoes. Look at that. Oh, they're beautiful. This is kind of what they look like before they ripen. And this is what they start to turn to when they ripen. This guy bursted a little bit, but that's because rain and uneven watering. Doesn't taste like chocolate, but it is a really, really good, deep flavored tomato. Perfect for like a little salad or chopped up. Really, really good. I'm not disappointed in these whatsoever. It was kind of like a fun test to try. More of them just because they're beautiful. Look at that. Okay, so I have more tomatoes in here. Look at this. Woo! Sun Sugar is an orange variety. Look at this. Little tomato surprises. I'm gonna have to harvest these like today, but so sweet, so cute. So juicy. Almost like a more savory tomato. I can't even little hints of fruitiness. I can't even explain it. Really good though. Like, that would be really good on a bruschetta salad, obviously. No, bruschetta is all I can think about right now. Back to the cats part 2. Hi, baby. Okay, so I went ahead and spun this around a little bit. As you can tell, stuff didn't do too well down here when I didn't get out here and turn it enough. But I have more bush beans here that are actually fully ready to go. Looking pretty good, bush beans. And these seeds actually came with my green stock when I bought it. It was like a freebie, try this in our stock kind of thing, which I did, and I love them, and I put them in my window boxes too. I have even more growing down a little bit down here. Got this guy, okay. He's a little too far gone. That's okay. Those seeds are a little too swollen, so the beans are going to be really, maybe not enjoyable to eat. You want to kind of do it prematurely when they're smaller, but that's okay. Maybe this guy's big enough that I can let him dry out somewhere and save the seeds. I don't know. Nothing's a waste in gardening. Okay, so I'll show you some of the peppers I got going in here. So these are shishito peppers. I got a good couple, a lot actually in here. Such a little plant could actually produce so much. Okay, so moving on to the holy pepper garden that I have in here. So many pepper plants. These are like my pride and joy this year. I've been really excited to watch them grow and really proud of myself keeping them happy. Okay, so this is a hot Greek peppercini pepper. It's doing its thing. I did not put it in a... Ooh, I didn't set it up anyway to keep it supported, and that's okay. Take a closer look. There's so many peppers here. Like, wow. This is a hot banana pepper. Looking a little weird, but it's growing some really good peppers. Like, wow. So cool. This guy. I had this weird thing happen in the beginning of my season where all of the things I grew from seed had this weird warped leaves like this. All of the new stuff did this. Research that it was something that was sprayed in my area, wafted over here, and it did it to all of my plants, even my tomatoes, and it was the saddest thing ever. So then I went out and bought some new starts and worked around it and hoped that some pulled through, and some did and others did not so much. And this was one of them. But even though it's a little deformed, it's still producing, and that's why I kept it. A few peppers is worth it. So here we have a shishito pepper. First year trying this pepper. Heard about it a lot on from other gardeners, and I really wanted to jump on that train and try it. Oh gosh, these are huge. So many. You can harvest them green, them this way. They also turn into like a brown and then a red over time, and you can harvest and eat them that way too. I've heard it doesn't really change the flavor. Some are going to be hot, some not so much. So I could probably go and wow. Let's just have a moment of silence. Like, holy cow. Like, I made a joke that I'm rolling in peppers, and I very much am rolling in peppers. One really good way to eat this is just with some oil and salt. Kind of just like cook them on your stovetop. You can even grill them that way until they start to blister, and then just snack on them like that. Have it as a side dish on a meal, put them in salsas, all that kind of good stuff. But wow. Ooh, this guy is a lot in a good way. So as an experiment, I decided to use tomato cages from last year for pepper plants because I know that they are not big enough for tomato plants. Or I would say worth it. Worth it. If you're growing in a small space, these I spray painted, so this is not how they came. I obviously didn't spray paint inside, so be careful with that. No, you don't want to ruin your plant or the roots or anything like that. But yeah, I reused these from last year, tried them out to see if they'd work, and they're working amazingly. I would suggest this to anyone who's growing in a small space and likes peppers. They're growing huge and big. The bottom size is enough for it, but wow. This is a hot jalapeno, and I just look at this and think, I can't believe it's becoming wood, and it's just so strong and sturdy, and look, it's putting off like beautiful, beautiful peppers. It's just putting off beautiful, beautiful peppers. beautiful on all sides. They're just gorgeous. Like, they're perfection. Like, this is what you buy at the store. Not, these are better than what you buy at the store, but the look of them is, my gosh, picture perfect. Like, I could not have grown a better pepper myself if I had known better. Like, this was almost perfect luck. Gosh, they're just so lush and gorgeous. Okay, so this is a Tabasco pepper plant. Check this guy out. He just keeps getting taller and taller. Just one little sprig was like, bye, and left this bush and just kept going. Wow. No peppers yet, though. This is one of the plants that got a little deformed from the leaves, and it just took a really long time for it to come back from that. But I do have little teeny buds here. Flowers come in. And so my hope is that I'll get a few out of this before the summer's over, and maybe not, but that's okay. It's been fun to watch grow. This pepper is called a Pinot Noir. It's more like a bell pepper, but it's not hot. I tried it. It's a little bit kind of just like a regular bell pepper, to be honest. But the cool part is it grows like a green and purple mix. This one seems to be all green. It's kind of losing its variegation. That's okay. It could have crossed with another pepper too, honestly. But when they ripen to a dark purple, like a wine purple. I kind of want to pick it, but I don't think it's ready yet. So I'm going to let this guy go. And you can pick it early. You can eat it early. You don't have to wait for the specific ripeness. Enjoy it, but I'm not even sure. Oh, look at that. I'm not even sure what I'm going to do with it yet. Maybe I'll stuff it, make stuffed peppers or something. It's just beautiful. Last but not least, this is my most favorite pepper plant this year because it's just so big, so beautiful. It came back from the pepper leaf debacle that I had with the weird issues, and this is one I also grew from seed. It is a sweet banana pepper. Wow. Like, wow, right? Look at this. Like longer than, like about the same length as my hand. I got some curly cues back here. I don't know what's happening here, but I don't care. This is awesome. So many. I think this guy is my longest guy. Oh my gosh. Longer than my hand. Yeah, let me zoom out a little bit. Probably like the length of my foot from the top to the bottom. Oh, this is insane. Beautiful. And I'm just so excited thinking about the peppers I grew last year. I grew like maybe 2 or 3 bell peppers because I knew that's for sure what I'd eat. I was afraid to try anything new yet, and I maybe got 1 or 2 off of all of the plants I had, 1 or 2. And so upping the planter, making sure that I'm fertilizing it, watering it well, changed the game this year. For real. And this is my first time growing from seed too, so I'm extra proud of myself this year and of the harvest that I hopefully will be getting. Woo! I just like to look at it. All right, so let's move past the peppers and we're gonna get into tomatoes. I have 3 tomato plants here this year. Tomatoes are one of my favorite, or have been in the past. I started some from seed this year and they did not make it past the weird herbicide that was sprayed in my area. So these are the purple Cherokee. I'm having some splitting, which I'm disappointed about because if I only get these few tomatoes here this year to ripen in time for the frost, this is what I'm stuck with. But I only have myself to blame because I know splitting comes from irregular watering. It's just they absorb so much water that the skin can't grow to fit it, and so it just kind of pops. And it can heal over if it doesn't get like infected in there or bugs don't start eating it. Like this one healed over very well. So I can, as long as I stick with my water schedule, I might be able to save these in time for them to ripen. But I think the one in the back is the biggest one back here. Gosh, look at this. I'm sorry, are you Big Daddy? Jeez Louise. Excuse me. But yeah, they seem okay, and so do these ones. So I think I've gotten 4, 5, 6, 7 down here that I can hopefully get to full term and have them turn like that rich dark purple that I'm looking for, and maybe make a couple tomato sandwiches or some bruschetta. But I'm really hoping they make it. I had a lot of blossoms fall off as I got higher. And that's just because we started to get in the 80s and 90s here in the suburbs. So, you know, we'll get what we get. But if I can get these bottom ones, I'm going to be super, super excited. This one is a red husk cherry tomato. Woo! Almost to the top of my cage. Let's get a closer look. Wow. Maybe I can even get in here a little bit. Maybe not. So many tomatoes in here. I am starting to get some blight just because the humidity has been insane lately. But wow, tomato heaven in here. Tomatoes everywhere. And these are obviously just going to turn to little traditional red cherry tomatoes, which I'm totally good with. Love myself a good red cherry tomato. I trellised both of my big tomatoes up with this trellis from Amazon. It's green, it's sturdy, you just put it together. I even hung my lights on it, and it's holding up really well. Cords to hold it down for storms, because we get some crazy storms here, hail and stuff like that. Luckily not that bad this year. It keeps it, I strapped it down to the bucket. It keeps it from blowing away, keeps it in place. So far so good, love these, check them out. They're worth it. And this is another red husk cherry tomato that I purchased at the store, outgrowing its tomato cage. I bought this because I was afraid my other one would not survive, but it did. And this one started producing tomatoes early in the summer, like in June. So I've been picking these off as they've been coming and eating them fresh with salads. So good. Look at the little bright red one. Just want to eat it right now. That is it. This is my patio garden. Thank you guys so much for sharing in this space with me today and hopefully getting some joy out of it the way that I do. The wide camera angle makes this space look so much bigger than it really is. It's really tight, it's really small. You do get like 6 to 8 hours of full sun here in the day and the afternoon, which is happening right now, which is why I'm wrapping this up. It's about to get really hot out here. But it's possible you can do it with less sun, less space. Don't let anyone tell you you can't garden where you are. You can do it. I believe in you. And I hope that this was a testament that if you want to grow something, that you can grow it. And you can learn to love gardening in a really, really small way. I get just as much joy from it. This is one of my favorite spaces here at my grandmother's house.
You're a pretty baby. Yes, you are, pretty baby. Don't tickle my ears. What are you after, the earwax? Or it's just warm? Ooh, you enjoying the sun? You're a sweet patootie, you are, yeah.
And it's so fun to dream about it and to see it come to life. Wintertime, in the coldest part of the year here outside of Chicago, I was dreaming of this space, drawing up this space, thinking about the seeds I wanted to grow and what I wanted to plant, and this was going to be my first time growing from seed. So welcome to my garden. I just remember dreaming about it and drawing it a lot. And for me, that was like a form of manifestation. And my artsy side coming out too, you know. If I ever really want to grow that big garden, like, this is my classroom and I'm so excited to be here. It's here, you know, my dream has come true. I'm here, I'm living in the peak of the garden right before everything starts to die off come August, when it just gets hotter and hotter and things get more and more sick. But it's really fulfilling. The space is full of joy and happiness. Share it with my pets, as you've seen. And it's a space that we all really, really love. I hope that you guys start to greenify your life in a small way, whether it be a garden or a couple flowers and plants in your yard. Do what you can in the space you have. It is possible to grow in containers and get really, really, really good harvests. So thank you again for coming along with me today. I'm gonna get out of this hot sun, but I hope you enjoyed this, and thank you.